disgraceful. Maybe we just see the beginnings of a little beam of light, a little spot of light at the end of that particular tunnel. And maybe that's the beginning of the release process. I'm delighted to welcome once again into studio Maria Taff from McNally's Chemist. How are you?
Hi Rowan, how are you?
It's lovely to see you. I'm very, very good. And we have our regular sort of bugs and drugs section just to put a wee bit of a handle on it. And Maria's the person from McNally's, the late night chemist, who comes into us every week at this time to shoot the breeze about issues. This week,
Men's health.
Men's health. I'm interested.
Yes, I thought, Rowan, this week we could talk about younger men and older men and two common issues that they may encounter.
Okay, let's talk about the young first, shall we? We'll do it chronologically.
No problem. Many young men experience problems with their skin, so we're talking acne. Spots.
Wow. Yeah, that's when you get volcanoes on your face.
Yes, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So acne, some people, some girls and boys might find it an embarrassing issue, but it is important to remember it is extremely common. We're talking approximately 80% of people between the years 11 to 30 would experience acne at some stage.
What causes it?
That is interesting. It is a change in hormones that it is associated with.
It's not just people who are careless about their personal hygiene.
Personal hygiene can be a factor. Obviously, your face is the most commonly affected area. So washing your face, it does play a factor, but it's not all hygiene. No, definitely not.
So the blood is bubbling in some way or other, and it's finding its outlet in acne.
Yes, the changes in hormones mean that there is an increased sebum production. So sebum, that's like your oily surface to your skin.
Oh, yes.
When that increases, the bacterial activity increases. Also, the rise in hormones can cause hair follicles, the lining of those to thicken and then allow blocked pores.
Oh, yes.
So you can talk from mild acne, a few pimples here and there. Whiteheads and blackheads would really be classed as mild acne. So you might not even notice if somebody has blackheads, that would be classed as mild. Moderate is whenever there are a few pustules.
What's a pustule?
It's a lovely little red inflamed bump, probably filled with some sort of, you're talking mucus.
Mucus. Oh, you don't mind mucus. It's natural, isn't it?
Yeah. So some sort of something filling it up, and
pus is another word we would use.
That would be actually the correct term.
Yes, you were being polite.
You don't want to, a lot of people like to squeeze the pus out, but obviously that's not the way to go. Then when you start to move on up the scale, you're talking moderate and then severe acne, which are many pustules, and even cysts can form, that's an extreme case. It'll be very severe acne, which can actually then in turn cause scarring. So acne, it is a condition which needs treated promptly. If somebody leaves it and marks have formed on their face which then scar, that's when the problems begin.
It seems, my recollection of acne, when I had it all those many years ago, almost impossible to get rid of. It's something you've got to live with.
Well, there are treatments.
Really? And do they work?
In my opinion, yes. The problem with skin conditions, the time factor, you have to persevere, keep going. Even though after maybe 3 weeks or a month you might see a slight improvement, it can take for up to 3 months. A skin cycle is a month long. So you shouldn't see anything overnight. It's not going to clear overnight. There's simple measures. So washing your face, but only a maximum of twice a day. Any more than that can irritate the skin. Exercise actually seems to improve the condition, and using mild face washes, water-based emollients if the skin's dry. These are all factors which can help. Now, in the pharmacy, we would treat mild to moderate acne,
You do it in
the pharmacy,
McNally's?
yes, yeah. So there's many products on the market, gentle cleansers. There's also tea tree oil, which is a natural antimicrobial.
I know of this thing.
Yes, tea tree oil.
Lovely smell of it.
There is. As well as that, there's benzoyl peroxide. So you find that that formulation in creams such as Quinoderm. Basically,
Quin as in quinine?
Quinoderm, that would be one of the brand names that
it's nothing to do with quinine. The quin.
No, nothing to do with that. No. So you might find that people using, say, a product such as Quinoderm, they'll be using it for 3 weeks before they'd see even probably any improvement, and 8 to 12 weeks. So you're talking 3 months before you see, before you would actually see a marked improvement. If acne is, moderate to severe, we would refer patients to their GP, because, as I said, it's important that it's dealt with effectively and appropriately in order to avoid any further scarring, etc. The GPs have access to many creams and tablets, which are prescription only, and are reserved. They have a ladder to move through to see.
It's always a good sign if it's prescription only that you're getting, because you're getting real stuff. It's stuff that it's not silly stuff. It's been worked through the whole pharmaceutical research and development program, and out of the other end comes the prescription only excellence.
Well, I actually disagree with that.
Really?
I disagree, yes.
Tell me why.
Many of the products that are not prescription, that are, say, pharmacy only,
yes,
that you can buy in the pharmacy, have gone through those the same rigorous testing, the proven results. And many of the products, as they are deemed safer and need to be easily accessible, can then be bought. So, as I said, at one stage that benzoyl peroxide I'm actually not aware if it was, but it may have been prescription only. And many of the creams that the GPs have access to prescribe include benzoyl peroxide, because it's such an effective treatment.
Okay, so it's a mixed economy. The GP might prescribe, or you can go into you and you can do the business.
Most of the stuff that we have, most of the products that we have in the pharmacy, actually can be prescribed also. So they have access to both.
Okay. So if someone comes into you with acne, you don't physically treat them. You simply give them the cream and say, go home and put it on yourself.
I think that's what most conditions, if there's a treatment to be given. Yes.
But that's all good. And you're finding that your new robotic system in the shop is giving you more time to talk to people.
Yes, I do. Yes.
And do people need that talking time?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. We really invest our time in speaking to people, because that's when you get to the root of an issue that a patient may be having. You need to take the time and listen to the whole situation.
And do you get a sense that people coming into you, there's a great dependence upon you? They want to unburden their whole health situation, and you're there reassuring and able to guide.
Yeah, I would like to think that. If we have our regular patients in and out, they depend on us, and we probably depend on them.
Indeed.
And
you grow together.
Yes.
Now,
to see them
forget about the acne. You get an old guy. A consultant said to me once, Rowan, men of your age, 80% of men of your age have prostate cancer. I was 67.
Okay.
Would you go along with that? He was very certain. He said it's there. It's a natural consequence of aging.
It sounds like a reasonable figure. So our second issue then, for men that are aging or older men, they would experience BPH.
BPH?
Yes. Benign prostatic hyperplasia.
What is that?
That is a non-cancerous enlargement of the prostate gland. So it's extremely common. The figures I found were that 60% of men over 60 have some sort of prostate enlargement. So very, very common. The prostate is a gland located beside your bladder. So as it enlarges, it obviously puts pressure on the bladder and on the urethra, which then in turn causes the main symptoms. So urinary symptoms are the main.
You're running to the toilet to urinate quite a bit.
Running to the toilet, unable to completely empty your bladder. You know, there's many other symptoms as well. So mostly urinary symptoms, and you know, this can be quite mild. This can just be a slight annoyance for a gentleman. However, it also can be quite severe. So some gentlemen might encounter recurrent urinary tract infections, which can be very unpleasant, and others may actually encounter urinary retention.
Not being able to pee.
Not being able to pee, and that actually can be quite dangerous. So that would need immediate attention.
Yes.
So
how does a man, when he reaches, what age should he start being aware of his prostate and thinking about
at
it?
every age, Ro.
From
at
20
every
on?
age, yes. If somebody is noticing changes, maybe not the most comfortable type of changes at any stage through their life, they should be keeping an eye on themselves. If you don't look after yourself,
no one else will.
Nobody else will.
Because it's a very busy NHS out there,
Yes.
and you're the first responder yourself. You know, this is happening to me. What is it? And that's the beginning of it. So if I have a symptom, and I have to admit that I did have symptoms, I had no symptoms, but I did a routine blood test. And in a routine blood test, my PSA level, my prostate-specific antigen, showed 12. That was 3 years ago. I asked for, was told I didn't need it, but I didn't have to insist. My consultant was very good. A biopsy. The biopsy detected 3 small indicators of cancer, less than 1/4 of a millimeter. Number 6 on the scale of severity, the Gilson scale, I think it's called. But so I've been watching it ever since. No treatment was necessary other than to watch lifestyle, to eat properly, and then there's a holistic thing I was advised to do. Pumpkin seed oil.
Oh, I have some information for
which
you.
I took.
In one moment,
good. We'll talk about that in a moment.
moment.
But the pumpkin seed oil, and I'm now down from 12, and it's now steady at 7.
Yes, your case might have been slightly different since you did have a biopsy and there were other markers there.
Oh yes.
For most men, it is a non-cancerous. It's just an excess growth of that gland. Yes.
Strangely enough, my prostate was shown in the scan they did of it to be normal.
Oh.
So here I'm sitting with indicators of cancer, but with a normal prostate and no symptoms. It's crazy.
Well, if a gentleman is concerned for a diagnosis, they should see their GP would be the first port of call. Many GPs would do an internal prostate exam, so that they'd have a little feel and make sure that it's correct, everything's normal. As well as that, there's the blood tests.
Isn't it a funny thing, in going through the whole process, from beginning to wonder, wow, is there something wrong, right through to the biopsy? I never had a physical prostate examination, ever. So we did the blood test and went with that, and that was what guided us. But talk to us about the blood test.
Well, it's a simple little sample of blood. It's sent off to the lab, and PSA, that would be one of the specific antigens for your prostate. It just shows the growth rate, or it would be proportional to the size and the growth of the prostate if it's high.
So it's an early indicator, but it's not necessarily an accurate indicator. You've got to actually
it would be quite
use
accurate that if the prostate is enlarged. But obviously the other symptoms, you'd be keeping a urinary like a little log or journal to see if there's if there's any unusual traits in the urination process. Because it's normally non-cancerous, I think it might be slightly different to what you experienced. I think it is slightly different to what you have experienced. because as I said, the BPH is definitely non-cancerous, whereas yours had.
Oh, mine indicated there was
yours
cancer there.
So it's slightly
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Yeah. So back to the BPH, there's certain treatments for it. First of all, the pharmacy-based treatment lifestyle. We would advise, and most healthcare professions would advise, no liquids 2 hours before going to bed.
Oh, yes.
Obviously, running to the bathroom during the night can be an issue that a lot of men find annoying. Avoiding caffeine and alcohol, as these can irritate your bladder. So that can also have you run into the bathroom. Bladder training exercises. So this is increasing the time between
Holding
urination.
off.
Yes.
That's not a wrong thing to do.
Well, to a degree, it's not wrong. It actually will help your bladder muscle. Yeah.
Wee bit of discipline there.
Yes.
Just hold back. But to overdo that, it would be not a good thing.
Oh, to overdo, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously, you need to go. You need to go.
You need to go. You need to go. Tell me about the pumpkin seeds.
Yes, the pumpkin seeds, they are a holistic type of therapy. I had a little look into it because I know that you were quite interested.
Absolutely.
Yes, so I found some clinical trials or studies that had been completed. In 2006, in the Journal of Medicinal Foods, I found they tested pumpkin seed oil in relation to the prostate gland of rats. So usually that's where a lot of clinical trials would start, would be with rats.
People normally say, you dirty old rat. So there I am. It all started with rats.
And in 2009, I found a clinical trial in Korea. Korean men suffering from BPH were given samples of different types of seed oil. So pumpkin seed oil was one of them. And they found that it did actually seem to improve the situation. Yeah, and it's well respected as a holistic therapy.
I'm not doing too badly then on it. Should I be taking a lot of it or little of it or what?
Well, in the clinical trials, they used 320 milligrams in a day. In a few other places that I read, it had said 1 to 2 tablespoons. So it probably depends on the quality of the pumpkin seed oil that you're using.
Yes. Do you sell it? No.
I don't actually think we have it in the pharmacy at the moment. Yeah, I noticed Holland and Barrett do sell it.
Yes.
They sell 1,000 milligram capsules.
So I would take 5 tablespoonfuls every morning with my orange slices and my pineapple slice. How does that equate with the figure that you're telling me?
Well, it would depend on the quality of the seed oil and what it's mixed with.
It's pure pressed pumpkin seed oil.
You're probably taking plenty of it at that rate. Some of the literature I had read were saying 1 to 2 teaspoons had this 320 milligrams. So you're probably getting double that with your
So I should just continue.
Yes.
Why fix it if it's not broken?
If you find that it's helping the situation, continue.
Seems to be.
The only thing I would say is if you have been, if a gentleman has been in contact with their GP, and the GP has recommended medications.
Oh yes, don't mingle the two.
There's common medications, you know, finasteride and disasteride. They block the testosterone changing to DHT, which is one of the hormones.
Am I blocking my testosterone?
That actually is what the pumpkin seed oil seems to do.
This doesn't sound very good.
It actually keeps your testosterone and blocks it from changing into prostate hormones.
Well, that sounds good to me.
Yes.
Now, the other thing which we'll talk about next week is cholesterol.
Yes, sounds excellent.
Oh, but I've never smoked in my life. I'm a moderate drinker. I'm a moderate exercise person. So if my cholesterol's a wee bit high, it's still a very serious problem.
It can be a serious problem if it's...
This lady should have been a politician.
If it's that way for a prolonged period of time, that's when it becomes a serious problem.
Do things about it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm very grateful to you. We'll talk next week about our blockage of the arteries with the old chemical that's bad for us.
That
and we
sounds excellent, Rowan.
So cholesterol next week, that's what we're doing. Thank you for coming. See this lady in McNally's Chemist on Monaghan Street in Newry, where They've got robots in the background dealing with the mundane stuff, and the real stuff of communication with you, the patient, is there constantly. And you're the eyes, of course, and the brain that controls the robot. Everything is checked by the human brain.
Oh, yes.
Always.
Yes.
Thank you for coming in.
No problem.
We shall play you some music now.
Thank you very much.
Not at all. You're so welcome.